Hi,
Okay.
Katie.
Kurt, I can't see your face.
I'm here. I'm
Hi,
here.
Winston. That's our
That's my
doggy. Hello,
Winston.
Winston.
Bonjour.
Winston,
Tutu.
I miss you. Kurt, I miss
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah, barely. Where is he?
No, not barely. I miss you a lot. And I'll see you soon.
He watches everybody going up to Runyon with their dogs, and then he gives, like he approves or doesn't approve the dog with a growl. Like, every once in
Oh,
a while,
wow.
I'll see a dog, and it'll just be like, "Ugh." And it's like, "Alright, we don't like that one."
So cute.
How's, Cape Town?
Cape Town is beautiful. Really, really beautiful today. It's really good weather. Sarah and I Sarah's here with me. We just got off of safari, which Kurt knows, but anybody that's listening doesn't know. I'd never done that before in my life. It was unbelievable. Highly recommend it. And in fact, Kurt's coming in 2 days. Him and Esme are coming, and we're gonna all do safari again. Um, so Sarah and I just got back, and then today we went to a great open air market, and Cape Town is beautiful, right on the water. It's lovely.
I've been to the other tip. I've been to Morocco, but I've not been
Right.
to South, you know?
Now you will
So
be.
and Morocco was like a day trip from Spain.
There were people on the plane that were, from what was it, Malaga? Is that where you were
Yeah.
in Spain?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
were from there, and they were just coming back from safari, but they had to do this long, crazy travel thing. There was a whole group of them.
Well, if you
So
go yeah, I mean, we were in on the Mediterranean, and you take a hydrofoil across the Strait of Gibraltar, and it's wild because you can see where the 2 bodies of water meet. And it's
right.
like looking at a globe and an
Wow.
atlas, like you can see the line in the water. It's pretty crazy.
So great.
But,
I love your
no,
nails, honey. Your
thank
nails look
you.
really great. I think you should
Yep.
show people.
Well,
So nice.
we had a daddy-daughter date, and,
Love.
I'm going green. I'm going, nature because 'cause I'm going on safari, and I wanna blend in. I don't wanna get eaten by a lion, so I'll be like this. I'll be like, "Tree, I'm a tree."
Oh, they look great.
Yes, and, all the lovely women at the salon like it when I show up,
I'm sure they do.
'cause I'm just like and I'm such a sap. Like, I just sit there, they go, you want us to strengthen your nails?" And I'm like, okay." And they're like, $10." I'm like, okay." Everything is $10. Before I know it, I'm like, "Alright, here's the mortgage to my house."
How's Los
Uh
Angeles? Is it nice weather?
It's nice. It's a little chilly in the mornings.
Great. I love that.
Yeah, it's like our version of fall, and, in another month or so, it'll start raining, and then it'll be our winter, and then it'll be ridiculously hot again.
That's how it
But
is. Yes.
not that there's climate problems. There's no
No, no.
there's no
Nothing to
global
worry
warming.
about.
Yeah,
No, and
no,
I don't even wanna get into this conversation, but our
yeah.
new never mind, I don't wanna have this
We're all
conversation.
it's all good, man. We're all gonna be fine.
Okay. Cape Town's a really nice place, just to let you
Yep.
know.
I am swimming in denial. What are we doing, Katie?
Yeah, what are
Katie
we doing, Katie?
Curtright?
Let's
What are
go.
we
We got some slice of pie questions, so I'll
Hey, I
start.
was just thinking we should do an episode of Pie with one of the, One Piece folk.
Oh, it's a great
Oh.
idea.
In
Well,
that
I'm working with them tomorrow. Let me,
suss it out. Any of them, all those, they're all great.
they're all great. Let me see, maybe even when you come, honey,
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
approach
we
them
could
together or
yeah,
talk to, like, somebody that can be in charge of that and hook
and
them
we
up with
can
Katie.
even if we
Mm.
need to, like, hire a PA for a day and go where they are, I think that would be really cool. It'd be
Oh,
totally
that's a good
Yeah,
idea. Maybe we
you
do it
know?
definitely.
when you get home,
Yeah,
because I don't know if we can do it while you're here. Maybe we do it, like, when you get back home and I have my last week or 2 here or something. We'll figure it out. If anybody has not seen this show yet, it's on Netflix. That's what I'm doing in Cape Town. I'm shooting this TV show called One Piece, which is, like, so great. Kurt and Esme and I just bumped on it. We didn't even know what it was. We were just looking around for something to watch, and it became our favorite Friday night show. It was so great. And then I got offered a role on it. I played Dr. Correa, whoever, for all those One Piece fans, which apparently there's a lot of you. I had no idea. But
It's that the anime fan base is a universe
it's a
unto
manga.
its own, and manga is a universe that makes the Marvel universe look like a flea market. It's massive and
It's so
totally
fun.
dedicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because the first question is about that.
Oh, okay, great. Let's
Look at
go.
Katie keeping us on
I
schedule.
know. I was like, it's a two-parter. So this one's from Anthony. He sent an email to the inbox at sutterinc.com. And he said, first of all, congratulations, Katie, on getting cast in One Piece. You're going to make a great Dr. Correa. Dr. Correa is even more badass with you in it. Kurt, your storytelling and writing is easily in my top 5. Have you ever read any manga or watched any anime? And now that Katie has been cast in One Piece, have you ever looked into that world? And Katie, any insight you can give us into this upcoming season?
Um, I would say that I was aware of the world. I was aware of the influence of the world. I had read there was a period right before Sons that I was really looking into that crossover graphic novel and anime and manga. Like there's a, and it's when we were in France, and I just remember looking at a wall in a bookstore of it, and the visuals were unbelievable. And I couldn't understand any of it because it was either in French or Japanese, um, but it was amazing, and I remember pulling out 2 or 3 titles and doing some research on them, and then, obviously, got pulled in a different direction. But I've not, it's nothing I've had the time to dip into, but since she's been on it, she got cast in it, I've been doing the research on One Piece, and it's like Star Wars in the tangential nature of it and the reinvention of it, and how just I mean, Netflix has the the animation version of it as well, but it's a rabbit hole. Like when you go down it, it just keeps taking you, and it's a rabid fan base. They cannot get enough. No, I'm fascinated by it. I'm gonna meet her showrunners when I'm out there. I'm excited to chat them up. So, because I need a job.
And Ken-chan is lovely.
It's fantastic. All right.
Oh, and then my part of the question is, I'm not sure what I'm able to say exactly. I don't know how how that works. When I got the job, I had to sign an NDA. I couldn't tell anybody I was in the show. So now I'm able to say that. My portion that I'm not in the whole season, but the bit that I'm in, if anybody knows, it's about these young pirates that are amazing that kind of go looking for One Piece, and they go from different locations to other locations. And I play Dr. Correa, who is a doctor slash witch. She's 139 years old and
Which
looks
is
like a
younger
rock
than you.
star. She's a little bit younger than me, yeah. And so that I can say, and I can just say that all the manga people know this, but Tony Chopper, who's a huge character in this IP, is very prominent this season. So,
Yes.
and I think that will make all the One Piece fan base really happy. And they probably know that already because if I'm there, Tony Chopper is going to be there. So
Yeah. And
Very
we
that's
love
what
cool.
I
Tony
can
Tony
say. I
Chopper.
think
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't want to step in anything.
All right. Well, this next one, it's a two-parter again. So I'll ask the first one and then do the second one. So this is from Leah via email. Katie, I have two. First one, the sweet, beautiful, and comforting family dynamics. between Gemma and Clay or Nero, Tara and Gemma, Jackson, Tara and Gemma, etc., which I ended up loving more than any other scene in the series. Do you think that with the two of you already being in a family, it kind of made it easier to create those exchanges with such a level of love, endearment, and spontaneity? Did your personal relationships reflect any of the fictional ones?
Kurt has never laid a hand on me. That's what I'll say firstly.
Thank God.
So, no, that part is not, anything, close
You
to
know,
home.
not unless you
Um,
wanted me to.
yeah, I mean, that's different kinda hand, what can I say?
Ah.
But what I guess I would say is, yeah, the family dynamic is very loving in our home. It's also, not saccharine sweet in our home. I mean, everybody's kind of themselves, and I think there's room for that in those relationships with, all of Gemma's family character. Look at Kurt, how he's playing with the dog, not listening to me. Stop playing with the dog and listen to
Sorry,
me.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
No, he gets very distracted. Anyway, I don't even know how to answer the question, but the question is, yes, I like all those relationships as well. I attribute that to the way Kurt writes. Kurt writes very good, very well for women. And also, you know, I guess I could go kind of meta on it in that I think, and he can speak to this more than I can, but I think that being in a very loving environment when he met me and my two little kids was something that was heart opening for him, as well as having Esme. So I think all that kind of contributed to
Absolutely.
his writing that family dynamic so lovingly, even though, these are people that are not doing really great things in general. But, the family that plays together, so they all kind of, but that being said, they have each other's back and they look out for each other. And so I guess that mirrors our life. We definitely have a family that of big personalities and a family that has had disagreements and gone through stuff. But at the end of the day, our family is really solid and everybody knows that they're not alone and that they're safe.
I will just tag that by saying, putting this show together, putting Sons together, John Landgraf, like, intuitively, even before I did, knew the importance of the family component. He was the one that, initially Gemma's character was more of a Nancy Marchand character, like in Sopranos, was in the backdrop pulling the strings, and Landgraf was the one that was like, "No, it's gotta be a trilogy, we gotta pull it up," and and ultimately, yes, cute boys, motorcycles, blowing shit up, all that was the candy, but you talk to anybody and most of the fan base will tell you they showed up because of the family, you know? It's why our fan base went from 16-year-olds to 94-year-olds, right? Because there was a family component that everybody could tie into. And John's a smart motherfucker, man. He saw that before anybody on the creative side saw it and allowed me to then lean into it.
I just have to comment on one thing. I've been rewatching The Sopranos. So
Oh,
Nancy
yeah.
Marchand is very prevalent in season 1. Gemma is so much hotter than Nancy Marchand. I was
I
just gonna say,
know.
because
Well,
Kurt
you know what
always
I mean.
references Gemma
Right.
as, like, she's the Nancy Marchand.
No, no,
And I'm
no. I
looking
just
at it, I'm
meant in
thinking,
terms of
this is a woman
character.
who's, like, going into a retirement home and,
No,
like,
no, no,
really
no,
laying on the
listen to me.
couch all the
In
time.
terms of storytelling,
I
it
know,
was a
honey.
character that was in the background influencing him emotionally
Correct.
even after she left, right?
Right,
And
correct.
like a string puller. And because of that world, I thought, well, that's what Gemma will be. She'll be there, but she'll be more in the shadows pulling strings and being responsible for Tony's need for psychoanalysis, Tony's sense of anger, Tony's sense of not trusting people, right? Tony's need for to seek out love everywhere he goes, right?
Right.
And that was the idea, not that I'm comparing you to Nancy Marchand,
I know, I just
even though
had to
you
say, because
even
I
though you
just
are
started
playing a
rewatching it.
139-year-old.
Gemma was
Yes.
way
Yeah.
cuter.
And you
Agreed.
still are way cuter.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Well, here's part 2 of the question, which is a fun one. And secondly, the beautiful, bright, and blinding California sun. Everyone talks about the guys struggling with their leather cuts in the summer heat. But Katie, did you and Maggie ever curse at the wardrobe, hair, and makeup department for the outfits Gemma had to wear?
Oh
I
god.
didn't I never cursed at them. I thought Kelly Jones, who was our wardrobe person, did an amazing job with all the costumes, but yes, it was hard on those days when we were, like, on the black what was it? The blacktop outside the
Yes.
garages,
Yeah,
in the blazing sun in the valley, so a lot of that leather Gemma didn't really do the leather pants so much, did I? Can't remember, but it was definitely leather jackets and, you know, uh I wouldn't say I cursed it. The whole thing, I'm gonna just sound really cheesy. It was just really a blessing and a lot of gratitude to even be there. It was such a fun show to do. So, yeah, it was hot, but, I've
oh
worn
shit, yeah.
I've worn a lot hotter costumes in heavy heat.
Right, right.
So, like when we did The Bastard Executioner, I just remember dragging, like, it felt like I was in a curtain, dragging it through the mud in the rain. Now that was a little bit more difficult than standing in the asphalt in a leather jacket. So,
Well, I
that's what I'll
also
say
I
about
also
that.
remember it, when we've the beginning of Abandons, these guys were in jackets and stuff, and it was really hot, and they were like, "Oh my god, it's so fucking hot." And I just I just remember I was talking Ryan and I would be like, you could be in sweatshirts, a leather cut, and on a hot mo on a mo and on a motorcycle, and, in 110 degrees, North Hollywood heat, you little bitch.
Yeah. The hoodies over cuts. Oh, yeah. Gemma had that awesome leather jacket that Kelly designed for you. I loved that coat. It was like
You mean the brown coat
yeah, that was a great one.
for season? That's the one piece I kept. We all got
Yeah.
to kind of keep well, Charlie went in and Charlie just went in and had a field day with everything he could take home. But I was told I could have a piece of clothing, and so that's the coat. That's what I kept.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, so this one is from AK via email. Love both of your work, and I'm so glad you started this podcast. I've recently started watching Sons again, and in season 1 and 2, Half Sack played a big role. Can you share what the initial story arc was for Half Sack and what would have happened had things been different and the
Right.
actor stayed on?
Um, sure. First of all, Johnny Lewis, a very sad story. I won't go into it, or as to what happened. Um, you know, there's information out there. I'm not quite certain of all the details, but uh, a sad and heartbreaking end to uh, the man that I met was not the man who ultimately suffered that demise. I will say that Half Sack was a prospect, and it was interesting. I had to navigate around the same thing with on my ends, right? Because Easy's character started out as a prospect as well, and as a prospect, you're not plugged into the decisions the club is making. You are on the outside, more or less. You're proving yourself. You're at the club's beck and call. It's like an intense, internship for usually about a year, and uh, and it was difficult to include him in a lot of the bigger storylines just from a pragmatic, logic, authentic storytelling point of view. So a lot of half stacks stuff was tangential, right? And I think it was difficult for the character, and I also ultimately think it was difficult for the actor. I think it's why Johnny felt a little, satellite like a satellite from the rest of the cast and struggled and ultimately made the decision that, he didn't think he wanted to be, part of a 7-season arc, and I don't want anybody there that, doesn't wanna be part of it because that doesn't serve anyone. So we came up with an idea to have him go out in a very sort of heroic way, and everybody seemed happy with that choice. And so as far as the storytelling and the pragmatics of the show, I felt like that all ended the best possible way. Ultimately, my plan was for that character to be voted in at either the end of season 1 or the beginning of season 2, right? And to show that process of a prospect being patched in, and the vote, and what that would look like. And then I would be able to include him into the fabric of the club as a new member. And that's a whole, watching a new member navigate everything that is part of being a member of a club from a different perspective, being inside. So I didn't have a specific story arc in terms of, you know, season 1 to season 7, other than I now would have another, vehicle to tell story. And he was an interesting guy. He was a bit naive. He was way more, perhaps childlike and vulnerable. I think ultimately Juice ended up taking on a lot of those characteristics. But, for me, it was just, another person, another different personality to throw into the mix to create cool story.
Okay, next question. This is from Soggy Alfalfa on Reddit. Katie, anything you can tell us about the final season of The Connors?
The final season? What can I tell you about the final season of The Connors? Well, it's the final season, and there's 6 episodes, and I think that it was a satisfying ending in terms of now I'm no, I still I'm part of the Connors. I definitely got married to, Dan Connor in like 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, but I'm not there from how do I say this? This was a long time experience for all those actors, for Laurie and and John and Sarah, and so I think that, it was a pretty emotional experience for them, as it was for me. That was a great gig, but I don't have the same connection to it as they all have, and how amazing it is that they were able to continue that franchise the way they did. It's just kind of incredible. I mean, I was sad to see it go. I think it's still I mean, it's some of the best comedy writing on in that genre that I've ever been around. I mean, aside from Married with Children, of course, but, um, I think that those are great writers and really funny actors, and I was just super pleased to be there. I don't think I can give you any plot points if that's what anybody's looking for. You'll just have to watch it.
You'll laugh.
You'll laugh. Absolutely, you'll laugh, you'll
Yeah,
cry, you'll have a great experience. They're wonderful. It's wonderful. That's what I'll say.
yeah. It's a pretty fabulous group of folk.
Okay, let's see. Question from Mark via email. In season 6 of Sons of Anarchy, during one episode, Tara Teller is listening to the slow movement of Mozart's Piano Concerto number 20. In an episode from an earlier season, the same music plays during the end credits. Does this music have some significance to the writers of the show, or is it just one of Tara's favorite pieces of music?
Oh,
I
Great.
know.
I don't remember that.
Wow. Here's what I would say. I'm sure there was some connection at the time where I talked to Bob and there was some link to it. My old brain can't, can't those synapses are gone. So, I do know here's what I do know. I do know that, Maggie loves music. Maggie, uh has a beautiful voice. I believe she plays piano. She, you know, and I think she does. And and she was always very timid about asking about music because she knows that it was an important part of what we did. It was an important part of what Katie's contribution was. But she sang a song, I believe, in season 6, and a lovely cover, and so it may have had some meaning to Maggie, and maybe that's why we chose it, but, I'd have to dig in a little bit, maybe talk to Bob, to find out if there was some kinda connection, but God bless you for putting that together.
I was impressed with that one, yeah.
It could be that it was in one Mozart piece that was in public domain and didn't cost us anything. That's a real possibility.
Real possibility.
Possible, yeah. This is another wardrobe question for Katie. So the people love the fashion. This one's from Reddit. Gemma reminds me so much of the ladies that used to always be around my dad and his friends. Her fashion choices are very interesting. She's well dressed but not overstated. It's a very upscale biker chick with the Steve Madden and Betsy Johnson accessories. How much thought went into the wardrobe choices for the characters, particularly the women? I noticed Donna was consistently dressed different from the other Sam Crow women, and Tara, while she picks it up a little bit later on, also dresses in a way that was notably different. I love to know what the design process was like for all the nonverbal ways character traits are shown. P.S. Katie, did you like Peg Bundy's wardrobe or Gemma's more? Because I love them both so much.
Oh, that's nice. You know, it's interesting. This is what I can say about the wardrobe is when Kurt did all this research, and I did a lot of research too, there's not a lot written about the women in that world. It's a pretty misogynistic, it's just male dominated world. And unlike the mob wives of, sort of other kinds of mob wives, there's just not a lot of information. I don't even know if they're about those women. So a lot of it was Kelly Jones, creative license, me with my 2 cents, because, the most important thing in wardrobe for me is always my shoes. So I have to start there. And then, I found very little research on the women in that world. So we just kind of went with what we thought was right. I thought Kelly really did a great job. Yeah. And with Tara, the transition from this was not a girl in this world at all, and so her transition into what she ended up wearing, it was subtle. She never went full Gemma. She never went full Gemma, but she definitely added a little tight and leather and stuff, but slowly. I think it wasn't a quick transition for her because she was true to the character. She was not totally on board. So, that's what I think I would say about all that stuff is that you
Yeah,
should talk to
I would
Kelly.
I would say yeah, I would say that it's, we would start with cleavage, and then we'd work out from there. Uh
She would start with cleavage. I would start
No,
with
but I'm
shoes.
just saying the world, right?
Shoes. Or
We never got like, we weren't even on the radar for, you know, acknowledgement for wardrobe because of, you know, but, it's always fucking period pieces and hats and shit. But, like, for Kelly to dress all those people and make them look s as often as shitty and as real as they did, in my opinion, requires so much more talent than, looking at a fucking, photograph from the 1800s and pulling hats from a catalog. That's just my opinion.
I just wanna
And
the people of that world don't look shitty. That's what I'm just gonna say.
no, no, I don't mean shitty, I mean like
You mean
you
simple.
know, simple, yeah. Yeah, I mean, shitty in the sense that comparatively speaking to fucking Downton Abbey, right?
Yeah, right, right,
So,
right, right.
I love the fact that each, uh, that they owned like, the Crow Eaters were, you know, they dressed to show off what they had, right? And slowly Tara transitioned, and Katie's right, she never went full Gemma, but, whether consciously or unconsciously, she began to, embrace the lifestyle. And Donna didn't, I mean, she was only there for a season, but Donna, was very much a simple kind of soccer mom ish, right? But all of that, as simple as it sounds, was a lot of thought that goes into that. I mean, the guys are the guys, but even the dudes, man, like they all had their things they wanted to add, all of Charlie's research, Charlie's kicks, his white athletic shoes that people were like, you know, "That's bullshit." It's like, "No, that's, you know, that's what club members, when you're on your bike, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day, you're not wearing big fucking clunky leather riding boots. You're wearing fucking comfortable, badass, high top leather kicks. You know what I mean? And so all of that stuff was a mix of research, of actors contributing, Kelly doing research, and making it all real, but compelling to look at, right? How do you make
I
it visually? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think what was really interesting is that the trope of what a gang, biker club looks like was so not what a biker club looks like present day. So that some of the characters were older and did have that trope about them.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah,
like, if
yeah,
you like, Kurt would always talk about, like, these are present day club members, and so they do. They wear tennis shoes. They wear, different kinds of T-shirt. It's just a different thing. So
right.
and I think
And
for me, what I think sometimes is that some of the success of the show was that it didn't portray a biker club as a cartoon character, which some of those tropes can do. It portrayed a biker club as what it is now. Right, Kurt? Isn't that correct?
absolutely, absolutely. And it was cool because it was a combination of me and Kelly and Bill, who played Piney. Like, their original cuts were not leather, they were denim, right? Because that's all they could afford, and Bill wanted to be in his original cut, so he was the only one, I believe, that wore the old school denim cut, you know? And I loved that, right? And for him, it was an homage to the first 9, it was an homage to, JT, and he really was the only one who, you know, uh, Clay probably had one at some point, but Piney, that was important to Bill, and that was important. There was just this layer that, as the question points out, you know, a nonverbal cue as to who a person or who a character really is. I think we beat that one to death.
Yeah, I think we did.
That's a good question. I mean, I loved the flannels that Charlie wore that one
Oh,
season.
yeah,
The
yeah,
blue ones, those were so
yeah.
great.
And I always tell people, Charlie and Charlie, I hope Charlie won't get mad at me for this, but Charlie always came back beginning of the season. He would pack on 15, 20 pounds of muscle over the hiatus and, and be big. And, you know, and I love him and I hate him for this because, as soon as he got on the bike and within like a month of being and working, he would shed the weight, right? Which is why he would start out wearing those big heavy, sweatshirts, and then he would always layer up to match how big he was in the beginning of the season, no matter how fucking hot it was. He would have a sweatshirt and then a hoodie over the sweatshirt.
Oh,
You know?
wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you remember after he did Pacific Rim and he had to cut his hair? So
I
we had to, like,
know.
put that in the show?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. It was
Yeah.
cool though. It was
Yeah,
prison. So he cut it
it
in
was.
prison and we see him yeah, I remember that opening sequence where you see him
And the
coming out the
song,
show where yeah,
"I
yeah,
ain't cutting my
yeah,
hair till the good Lord comes."
yeah, yeah.
That was great. Okay, we only have a few more questions left. So this one's from Vomit Comment 22 on Reddit. Kurt, out of all of your shows, who is your favorite character to write for?
My favorite character. Oh, I can't answer that. You know that. But here's what I would say. There are definitely favorite I would say I had favorite
It's me.
yeah, favorite characters, favorite relationships to write for. So for me, yes, leaning into the voice of Jax, which was very much me working out my daddy issues, and and I really found it very more often than not. It's why Abandons was all about matriarchs, right? Because the the voice of women in my head is I was, mostly influenced and raised by women, so it's a pretty potent voice in my head. So I did. I loved writing for the Gemma and Tara and but here's what would happen for me is like I would find little surprise relationships in all my shows. It happened in Mines, it happened obviously in Sons. Here's an example. Like I ended up putting Jimmy Smits and Dayton Callie in a scene together uh just because of logic, right? They had to be there. And they had two lines or something. And the energy in those two lines, Dayton had made this choice where, he was in love with Gemma and and Nero was a threat. And the way he played those two lines and the way Jimmy responded to him was just like, oh man, that's so fucking great. So from then on, anytime I could find a way to throw those two guys in a scene together, and I managed a couple times where they were in a car riding together, like those scenes were so much fun because they were really simple and I knew, they would just be nuggets, right? So when you find those and in season 1 it ended up being Juice and Tig, like those two personalities bouncing off of each other and I will say that I think my favorite love story in all of the shows I've written was Venus and Tig. Right? Like, and I mean that, I'm not being facetious. It was the one time in Sons where I got to be poetic because everything that came out of Venus's mouth was, ripped out of the pages of Tennessee Williams. So, and I was like, there was no limit and you could strip down this veneer of badass from Tig and show his vulnerability where it tapped into all his odd sexual predilections and yet his desire for love and connection and understanding. And it wasn't exploitive. It wasn't yes, if I were doing that scene or that if I was building that um dynamic today, I would definitely use a real trans actor. I would not have used a white man, straight man. But at the
Walton.
time, Walton was, uh, a goddess, and he was very, very concerned with respecting that community and portraying it in a way that was not demeaning, that was not making fun of. Like everything he did was truly authentic, which allowed me to write him like it was this beautiful, gentle, vulnerable Southern belle. And it was like, holy shit, I get to, I felt like, I was writing, you know, uh, 19th century love poems, right? So I think that ended up being those two episodes. And those, I think it was two scenes that they had together was, I think was some of the most fun I ever had writing.
All right. Well, we only have 2 more questions left. This one's a fun one for you guys. Um, will you ever have any of your own dogs star in a show?
Oh.
Wow.
Oh. Well, I do have to say that Jackson's dog, everybody knows our son, Jackson White. Freddie made
Ready?
his debut in a movie that Jackson just did called Bumble. I think it's called Bumble. And Freddie Freddie did a day on that. But our dogs, didn't we try to put wait a minute, Kurt, we tried to put remember there's a scene in Sons at the vet and we were gonna use
Oh yeah. But
who are we gonna
we didn't because I found out it was a whole thing. Like they have
we
to be
couldn't use
approved. There's a union. There's like
Oh,
Wrangler. It was
yeah.
like it was
It
like
was
a
Django,
it
I
was a
think.
whole
was it
thing.
Django?
Yeah,
Were we
Yeah.
gonna use
and
Django?
it was a
Yes.
whole thing where like not like there's you have to
Well,
be
Freddie
approved.
made the cut.
Freddie made the cut, but Freddie had to, like, be vetted out and get paid, remember? The
That's
guy
true, Freddie got paid. Yeah.
and
And
Jackson's like,
he
"I
was
wanna
also
get paid."
Jackson's dog. he was playing I think the character Freddie played was the
Jackson.
character Jackson was playing's
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
went pretty
I
smooth.
don't know. He'd be
I
he's
This one could be a movie star. He could be
this
in the
one's a movie
movies.
star, but he's very expensive. He's, you know, he's a lot to haul around. You would need a private jet,
And he
you
eats a
know.
lot. I mean,
He eats a
craft
lot.
service would really
He
have to,
eats like 20 burgers a day. He's
yeah,
just, he's 125 pounds. He's a sweetheart, but he's just,
he's a lot.
and
Look at him.
he's he's kind of a diva.
Oh, he's not. No, no, no. He's not the diva. Nate is the diva.
Oh,
We have
Nate's a
a
diva,
little
yeah.
dog, our little
We're
Nate,
our little
our little
rescue is,
rescue.
yeah,
He
yeah.
is the diva. He thinks he's
He's
in
a
charge.
Well, he's a gangster. He got one eye. He's
Yeah,
all
he's
fucked
pretty
up.
gangster.
He's been hit in the head a lot. He's just,
We love him.
we love him. We love him.
We love
We
all our
love
dogs. We have to
dogs.
mention Muddy, and we have our beautiful Muddy, who
We have
really
Muddy. We
is a
have
movie
Muddy,
star.
who's a lab, and 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 here's the thing with Muddy. Muddy is all lab, right? And he was bred. He was bred as a lab that you shoot ducks and he gets them, and his instincts to this day will like he. I bring him up. I can bring him up in my office, and he will do this. I bring Muddy up in my office. He'll do this for 2 minutes, and then he'll stare at me and like, "Hey, motherfucker, do something. Throw a ball. Kill something. Make me." Like his instincts just take over, and he can't sit still. He's a working dog. Like he has to be doing something. And him, like the irony, like he's half English Mastiff, half Great Dane. And the irony of Great Danes is they're actually really good apartment dogs because they only need about 15 minutes of walking and a couch. And
That's our boy. He's
I'll run
beautiful.
him for about 20 minutes this afternoon and he'll be done.
Actually, you know what? I don't think I'd want any of our dogs to actually work. It's a hard job on an animal to be
Yeah.
on set, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth. Really
Yeah.
is. Next.
Next question.
This is the last question. It's a voicemail, so let me share and play it.
Hey, and Kurt, I'm so excited to ask you guys a question. I've absolutely been loving your pie podcast, and I'm also in recovery and was wondering what your guys' daily spiritual practice was like and what helps you stay clean and sober. And I was also wondering if you were deadheads, because there was a character named Bertha in Sons of Anarchy, and Katie said she likes Americana. All right, thank you.
Want me to go first, or you want to go first? I can go first.
You go first.
Yes, we're both in recovery. I'm in recovery for a long time. I think my daily spiritual practice is some reading, is some sort of, we usually read a daily reflection in the mornings. I think the most consistent thing I've done for 38 years is I go to lots of meetings. I'm a big believer in community, and I'm a big believer in service. I give back what was given to me, and that is kind of a daily practice. So I could get into more detail, but not everybody needs to know what my spiritual practice is. But basically, I try to I live in a grateful space. How about that? That kind of goes against some of where I come from, but I lean into gratitude, knowing that that is actually the key to most things. The key to a worried mind is gratitude. That's what I'll say. And if you're in recovery, you understand a worried mind. And then what I'll say about what was the second part of the question was about
deadhead?
Oh, the
Bertha,
dead. You know what? I'm not. I appreciate it. But this last band I had, Bob wanted to play a bunch of Dead songs, and nothing against the Grateful Dead. I think it's, I was never a Deadhead. I was not. And I have an appreciation for some of the music, but not a hardcore one of those. And I don't remember Bertha. Do you remember Bertha, Kurt? I'm
don't
not sure I
remember Bertha.
remember. But, amen to all the Deadheads. It's fantastic. And I would love to see them now with John Mayer in the band. I think that would be really cool. Isn't he still in the band? I think John Mayer's in the band. I think John Mayer
Yeah.
plays with the Grateful Dead. Anyway, I might be wrong. I don't know. Kurt, that was my answer. Quick and
my-
sweet.
My spiritual practice, I sacrifice 2 lambs, I deflower a virgin, uh, and what else? No,
Daily?
uh,
No, not daily.
yeah, I gotta, man. You gotta keep if you don't, every day. It's one virgin at a time, Katie. Um, no, no, no. Yeah, my daily practice is pretty simple. It's a little, reading, it's a little prayer and meditation, it's a little writing, I do, try to hit a meeting every day, made much more accessible with Zoom. I go to meetings sometimes with people from all over the world, which is pretty fabulous. I too am not I appreciate the songwriting, but, it is I consider the Grateful Dead, more of a lifestyle than a band, and the smell of patchouli makes me sick. So I would never be able to be a Deadhead. So that's my answer.
It is kind of a generalization. I'm not sure all deadheads wear patchouli, but it is kind of a trope that goes along with
Come
it,
on,
I would say.
come on. No, but I would say it is a lifestyle, right?
Yes, I agree with
And I
that.
would also say that John Mayer playing with them is not a draw for me.
Oh, really? He's such a good guitar player. He's
Oh,
really a
yeah,
good guitar player.
no, he's fabulous.
Anyway,
Is that any more questions I can get me trouble?
Um, no, I mean, I just saw that there was a question from Elaine in the live chat. We can end on this one. It's kind of about routines again, so we'll just kind of end on that. Do you have a morning routine that gets you into a creative mode? Any specific things that get you in the zone to get your
lots of
creative
Um,
juices
coffee.
flowing?
Lots of coffee. No, here's what I will say, that I used to be, and Katie will, attest to this, I used to be a night writer. So I would put everybody to bed and then go down to my office and start working at like 10. I watched Jon Stewart, and then I would start working till like 2, 3 in the morning, and then sleep until like 10. And, I think it was during the pandemic, I shifted that. And, every great writer, like, I also think it was watching the Hemingway doc, and, Hemingway would get up at like 5 in the morning and write until like 12 or 1 and then start drinking. And, I switched up my routine, and now, I get up, around 6 and, go and Blue Bottle opens up at 6 and I go get my coffee, and then sometimes I take my kid to school and, if she doesn't drive herself, and then my writing time now is usually, like, between 7 and noon, and that 4 or 5 hours is when uh, I'm I'm pretty productive, and if I do that every day, I never get too far behind, in terms of deadlines and shit like that. I mean, there are definitely times when I have to put in a shift at night to catch up or whatever, but if I stick to that routine, which I've been pretty good about doing, I, uh, I get shit done, and, you know, as a writer, and most writers will understand this, I never stop working. Like, my brain is always in mode, especially if I'm on a project, and I'm constantly writing shit down. But as far as putting pen to paper, or keys or fingers to keys, it's that 5-hour patch in the morning now that's my most productive.
I just, go by the seat of my pants. I don't know, what creative thing is gonna hit me on any given
Well, you're dependent
time.
on a call sheet too, you know?
A little bit, yes, but I do
Yeah.
do some other creative things besides show up on the set. So, there's
Yeah.
creativity has a lot of, definition. Creativity is not just, you can live creatively. But I don't know what I'm
We
talking about.
we live
I
creatively.
don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking but
Yes, you
yes,
do.
well, sort of I do,
Katie
yeah.
Katie's knitting. She's a mad knitter.
Oh, I'm a mad knitter right now, yes, that's
And
that's a
getting
big
more
creative.
proficient, like, just she's knitting a condominium right now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
unbelievable. Where's
oh.
Sarah? Where's Sarah?
Sarah's here somewhere. She's making Sarah, you making dinner? What? Aren't you making dinner for us? Are you up your call?
No, we're on right now. They asked me where you were. I said she's making dinner.
That's it.
Oh, no, you can go. You can make dinner. We're just live chatting with some. Yes, Sarah's here because I have
Hi,
to go.
Sarah.
Sarah's being here. Everybody's saying hi to you.
Hi, Sarah. Okay.
She said
Yes,
hi.
that's it. That's all
All
the
right.
questions we have. But don't forget to get. I'm wearing our swag,
Yes,
so
yes. Oh, I have to do. I'm going to do a swag thing.
charming.
I
Yeah.
have a bunch of it, and yes, buy our cool swag. And
Hmm.
I'm going to do something else now that I have some time. And I want to do I want to do. I want to do. We're going to do another like a podcast thing or a slice of pie thing, and Katie and I are figuring it out. Um, and
What are we doing? Am I me, Katie, or producer Katie?
producer Katie.
Oh, you mean like
Yeah.
giving some swag away with
No,
yeah.
but also we're gonna.
Yeah.
I want to do a different. I want to do another pod thing.
You mean
Oh
So
yeah.
without your wife?
without your wife, yeah,
What's that idea, you guys?
it's me and Winston. It's
It's
me and
Winston.
Winston.
I don't.
Yeah,
Katie says she doesn't
It's
know either, Kurt.
yeah.
So I don't know if
We're
you
gonna learn.
dreamt
We're
it.
gonna learn soon. Yeah.
it's me. It's
Yeah.
me talking to myself.
Yeah.
Here's. I'll end with this. I was walking up the stairs the other day, and I heard this very intense conversation happening from my daughter's room. And I knocked on the door, and I opened it up, and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she took off her headphones. She goes, "Yeah, I'm just making my point clear." And I realized she was alone in the room, and I was so proud
Oh, that's cute. That's cute.
because that's she that's all I do all day long is is have a point of view, and I have to say, like, she's like me, she has to say it out loud. And I think she was preparing a thing for class, and um but it was very it was as if people were giving her blowback, and she was defending her point, and I was
Oh,
like,
so that's gonna be your new podcast. You are gonna
I don't
make your
know. But it was just I just love the fact that she, like, because I had like, when I write, that's why I need space alone, because I look like a madman. I'm talking to myself, I'm acting it out, and she was doing the same thing to prepare for her presentation, and preparing for the questions that might make it more complicated. And I was just like, wow, that's, meaning her imagination is like, is motivating her to do work. So I was so proud. And, I don't know why I needed to share that other than to tell Katie that, which I could have done off of live air. But yeah, I wanna do something. I don't know what. Maybe people have suggestions.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I think I should give advice. I should be like a Dear Abby. It should be
Ask Suttering.
Oh.
it should be
Oh.
Dear Curdy.
I don't know. Sarah just said I don't know about that. So that's from here.
Oh. All
All
right,
right, you guys
kids.
figure
All
out
right,
what it
guys.
is. Thank you so much for everybody listening.
We
Thank
love
you.
you. Keep watching.
Okay.
Buy the swag. I really need the money now.
Bye, everybody.